Hey guys, it's Vaki here again with a new video, this time on a Fighting Game 101 series that I'm starting to create. So this is the first video in a series of videos hopefully I can create to help the beginning level players get to a more intermediate or advanced level. So today's topic is going to be about information gathering. So information gathering is what separates, I think, the really great players from the mediocre, more beginning players. And even for beginning to more medium level players, information gathering is very important. And I think at a beginning level, what we're mostly focused on is more of what you're doing, how to play the game, and not so much on what your opponent is doing. So today I would like to focus on helping the beginning player hopefully get to the level of realizing what their opponent is doing more than just what they're doing during the game. So here are 5 examples that I would like to give that can help beginning players. They can focus on these 5 examples. They don't have to focus on all of them at once, maybe just one at a time until they get pretty good at it, to see what their opponent's tendencies are during their play, to see if they can capitalize on their opponent's mistakes. So number 1, what is it? You want to figure out what type of player that your opponent is. Is your opponent an offensive player? Is he a defensive player? Does he seem to have a strategy when he's fighting you? Or is he just button mashing and just doing anything random? So if you're at a beginning level play, a lot of players will tend to be more leaning towards the no strategy, just doing what I want to do. Everybody's kind of doing that. So if you want to get above that level, one easiest way to do it is just to identify the player that you're fighting against. That can shift your strategy against how to fight them. Number 2 is movement. So in the game, you may not be paying attention to how your opponent is moving if you're focused on how you are moving. A lot of the game is controlling your characters, what buttons and move to be doing. You're thinking a lot about what you need to be doing, but try to focus on what your opponent might be doing. Once you're more comfortable with the game, you can take the time to start looking at your opponent, see what they're doing. Are they moving towards you, away from you? Where are they standing? One most important thing that you can look out for is their tendency of jumping. When do they like to jump? When an opponent jumps, they kind of give away some of their freedom as their trajectory of their jumps will determine where they're going to land. Unless some games have dive kicks, which can alternate. But we'll just say, for the sake of simplicity, once they start jumping, they have an arc and they'll reach where they get to. And plus in CVS2, they can also do super jumps, short hops. So that gives you a variation, but let's just say for a regular jump, most people are doing regular jumps. Try to keep an eye out when they like to jump. And then maybe you're not even able to react to it, but if you're anticipating, you know, oh, he's gonna jump now, that'll give you opportunity for your brain to react to it in the future. So once you're focused on looking for one particular thing. Number 3, wake up tendencies. Wake up tendencies, what does your opponent like to do on their wake up is very important to know in a fighting game. Do they like to mash buttons? Do they like to just block? Blocking oftentimes is the best solution. And if they're blocking, then you can kind of know that, okay, this guy, he's a little more calm. He might know a little more about what he's doing than just mashing buttons all the time. Mashing buttons, I would say, is probably the number 1 sign of somebody being kind of new. They're nervous, they're knocked down, they want you to get you away, so they start mashing buttons. The other thing they can do, obviously, is wake up Dragon Punch. Depending on the game, usually that has invulnerability. It will get you off of them if you're trying to pressure on their wake up. Dragon Punch will knock you away. Or any sort of special. Like sometimes they'll bet it all on the farm and just do a level 3 special, and typically that'll work on a lot of people if you're not thinking about what their opponent's doing, thinking about, oh, I knocked them down, I want to go in for pressure, but you're not thinking about what they're thinking and what the opponent's tendencies are. So the first thing you might want to do is knock them down and actually go up to them and do nothing and just block. See what they like to do. See if they're mashing buttons, see if they're mashing throw, see if they're mashing special attacks. All this information you want to gather as quickly as you can about your opponent to see what kind of player they are. Again, going back to number 1 bullet. Number 4, you want to see how much self-awareness your opponent has. And what do I mean by that? You want to see their knowledge of the game, if they know what they're even doing. Because a lot of times newer players, they'll just do things. They'll do special moves because it's a special move and it's powerful. And they're not thinking about, oh, am I using it in the right situation? Am I spacing it correctly so that it's safe? They're just throwing it out there. For example, a lot of players I see in CVS2, they like to use Vega Dictator because he's a strong character. And what they know is, they know his special moves. They know his Psycho Crusher, they know his double knee, right? But double knee is actually a very hard move to use correctly because it is very unsafe on block. You have to, even a lot of times when it's blocked by one hit, it is still unsafe for certain characters. A lot of times people would just throw it out and you get the 2 blocks. Space now with 1 block, that makes it relatively safe. You can still get punished, but if they're like that, it gets blocked twice, you pretty much should be dead for a lot of the cast. But a lot of players, I find that they don't even realize this about their own character. You would want to capitalize on that, the fact that the other player is not very familiar with the game itself or their character. And these are the type of things you want to notice. Some people will throw out, maybe they'll throw out like jab dragon punches, or they'll throw out random Tatsumakis. A lot of moves that typically, if you know the punishes from, they shouldn't be thrown out. So try to notice what your opponent is doing on their awareness of the game and what they are doing. My final point 5 is, are they adapting to you? Do they realize that you are taking advantage of their mistakes, and are they changing up their game plan based on what you are doing? This will tell you what kind of, again, going back to bullet point number 1, what kind of player they are. Are they even thinking about what they're doing, right? Are they still a newish player? Because a lot of, as I said, a lot of new players aren't thinking so much at that level yet. But if you hit somebody with a sweep and they're not blocking it 5 times in a row, at some point, hopefully they learn and they'll start blocking it. And when that happens, then you'll know, okay, now I can change my game. But if they don't change anything about their play and they keep doing the safe things, so keep punishing them for their mistakes. And that's one easy way, I think, to get out of the bronze leagues into at least the silver or the gold league, whatever league you get into. Just simply punishing your opponents for their mistakes and keep punishing them until they learn. And this all, again, comes back to information gathering, as I've pointed out in this video. Now that you have all this information about what your opponent likes to do, what their tendencies are, what their mistakes might be, if you're attentive enough to pick up on those things, the next thing you want to do is get into the lab and start optimizing for your punishes on your opponent's mistakes. And we'll get into that in the next video. So in the meantime, thanks for watching this video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.